Now, the Finnish mobile phone maker Nokia is relaunching one of its classic flip phones, citing a surge in interest by Gen Zs and Millennials. The Nokia 2660 flip phone was first launched back in 2007. A bit of nostalgia for us here, and is now back on the market, with Nokia saying so-called dumb phones are in fact growing in popularity as people seek to limit their screen time. Well, I'm joined now here in studio by Lars Silberbauer, the Chief Marketing Officer at Nokia Mobiles. Thanks so much for joining us, Lars.
Thank you for having us.
So this is really interesting. So I'm interested that you're saying people want to limit their screen time. Totally get that. But are you saying that millennials and Gen Zs are leading this move themselves, rather than being told to by boring parents and the like?
Definitely. I think we all know that generation is not just doing what they're told by their parents. And we see this trend starting in the US, really starting last year. We can see that we really have doubled our market share over the year in flip phones. We see it starting in the US and now coming to Europe, with really Gen Zs leading this trend. But it's a trend we also see in the older generations, really, that people want to take ownership of their own digital life and want to limit their screen time.
So again, really interesting that this is happening, or you guys are pushing it to happen via a new hardware setup, by a new flip phone. I mean, has it got a different operating system, different functionality inside that does lead to that headline, dumb phones being applicable label? Or can it, once you open it, can it do everything that an iPhone or well, it would be a different operating system, that the best Android phones can do?
I think like these flip phones are, of course, like it's 25 years since we launched the first flip phone, and these phones you can call, you can text, and you can play Snake, and then you can get a lot more time to actually enjoy life. And I think that's the important part. So the important part is not really what the phone can do. The important part is what it really allows you to do. And that is that you realize that you actually are being caught up with constantly being notified, getting social media posts, and really being dragged into digital. So these phones are actually a way to realize that you can actually have a much more enjoyable moments in life than on the phone.
I'm not sure Snake would, returning to my phone, would limit my screen time. It takes me back. Anyway, so what's the operating system on this? Is it an Android operating system, or is it, again, a Nokia Symbian developed system?
So it's not a smartphone, so it's a feature phone. So it's a classical operating system on a feature phone. So it has all of those traditional things on a feature phone.
Because I'm interested, therefore, that you're flipping back to the idea that hardware can drive perhaps Nokia to have a significant foothold again in the not smartphone, in the handset market, which of course it used to be number one. It fell from grace, and largely I think it's fair to say it fell from grace because of software. It didn't develop a very user-friendly software like Apple did with iOS or like Google did with Android. Does Nokia hope, weirdly, that going back to old, less impressive software can give it a strong position in the hardware market once again?
I think first and foremost important to say that we are already selling millions of phones every month. So it's not it's a fairly big number of phones that are being sold by Nokia. So we're not a small player in that sense, especially not in the feature phone market. And I think when it comes to smartphone, we would also love to sell you a smartphone. But the reason why we're introducing flip phones is really because we want people to realize that we can see this trend, and we're answering this trend about people wanting to take ownership of the digital life. So typically you would say, like, your smartphone is a digital assistant, but sometimes it do become a digital dictator. Definitely. And that's really what the trend is about, and that's what we're trying to help people to realize and to really experience.
And just finally, are these a lot cheaper than a Samsung Galaxy or an iPhone?
They are a lot cheaper. They're around £65, so a lot cheaper than the normal. So we don't think that people would switch from smartphones to a flip phone, but they might add a flip phone to their range of devices.
I think it's very interesting. Lars, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate it.